Hey my dear Nightshade, it's Otti again. I'm here in Oberhausen at the Druckluft with a bunch of people. They are FAINTEST IDEA, a band from UK. So hi.
Hi.
Hello.
Hi. We met last year at your tour when you were with Sprache here.
Yeah.
And now we said, okay, let's do an interview because we wanted to see you again.
Yeah.
We had a cool show last year.
Yeah, it was good fun.
Thank you very much.
And I just thought we'll introduce you to our watchers or channel subscribers. So first of all, so people know who you are, maybe you can introduce yourself and tell what you do inside the band.
Okay, I'm Katie and I play alto saxophone.
I'm Dani and I shout and play bass.
Hi folks, I'm Bobble and I play trombone.
I'm Dave and I play trumpet.
And I'm Mark and I'm the most rock and roll.
And I'm Nathan, I play the drums.
And disappear.
Famously shy. That's,
It's to do some rehearsals maybe. To train something. So let's get back, not too fast. Yeah, you're a fast band, you do fast music,
Exactly.
So maybe I talk a little bit too fast. To explain it to the people, you could say you do ska punk.
Yeah.
Simple way. But how did all this start? What was the idea when you started, and
Oh, I
how
don't
did
know.
you
It
come
started
together?
many years ago. Too many years ago. but yeah, it's ska punk. It's more punk music with added ska, if that makes it slightly easier.
punk
It's
ska,
heavier.
60-40 rather
Yeah,
than
yeah.
ska punk 50-50.
Yeah, it's heavier than a lot of ska punk bands, but
Kind of changed and grown over the years. Like started off a bit, I don't know, I'd say maybe a bit punkier and then kind of got a bit scarier, and now we've kind of found the comfy spot between the two. And again, the new album, Road to Sedition, I think shows that off. Like, all really happy with it. Came out, what, a month or two ago now?
Yeah.
6 weeks, yeah.
Yeah, I
Remember
reckon that is the
1st of April, no, 31st of March. wasn't it?
yeah, and that's like the summation of years of work and the current lineup. And it's wicked to be out, and it's lovely to be touring it, and it's great to be back in Germany.
Yeah, good, because for sure I did a little bit of research, but had not that much time to do it. And the only info I found was a 7-year-old album.
Oh yeah.
So it's rather you have a new one.
So we had
now
Voice
and-
of Treason in 2012, increasing the minimum wage in 2016, which would have been that one, and then this one. This would have been, obviously COVID knocked us back a couple of years. We wrote most of this in 2019, but then obviously had to stop. Everything had to stop, and then. But it was good because we used that, we wrote more in that time and used it to do more. So yeah, it was good, but it stopped us doing most stuff for a couple of years.
So those songs are not COVID songs like many bands have.
No, most of them were written beforehand, but then added. Yeah, we added parts, didn't we? And then Katie joined a week before the recording, so we went about 3 days before the recording. We're missing a sax player on this tour, but all 4 of them got in a studio and worked out their parts. But all the main bits were written, but then
Although while we haven't written any COVID songs, the British government actually nicked one of our lyrics for a big thing. In one of our songs, the chorus is "Stay alert, and in COVID times, the British government had all these "Stay alert" posters everywhere. So they stole it.
We
from
wrote
us.
that. Me and Bobble wrote that in 2019, and then that became the official slogan of COVID in Britain, which was
So we're taking it
interesting.
back. We're reclaiming it for ours.
Still living off the royalties, aren't we?
Yeah. We're trying to.
So official songwriters for Tory Britain.
I think we could talk a lot about British government because we have one really interesting with lots of changes and stuff.
Yeah, there's been a few, isn't there?
Well, one government, just loads of people at the top of it. That's,
It's one government in name, but we've had 5 prime ministers in the last 6 years. Since Brexit, who we had? Cameron, Boris, May, what's face?
Liz Truss.
Liz Truss, Rishi.
Yeah.
So 6. Was that it?
Yeah.
I think
Yeah, 6 prime ministers in 5 years.
So I think
So
it's,
six separate cabinets.
and we had 6 Bundeskanzler in 30 years, I think.
Yeah. So it's been
perfectly
interesting,
normal.
shall we say?
Perfectly
It's been fun.
lovely place to live.
Yeah, but I think I'm not sure, but I think you have some more political songs and stuff. Not, not only singing about party and happy life.
No, they're all political. I think try to not be very generic with it and just be very slogan-y. So yeah, but they're all political.
I think one of the most important things for like us as a band is that the Emma Goldman, you know, if it's a revolution without dancing, that's not my revolution. Like, you know, we are political. You know, we try and like put that into our songs and like the way we act and stuff, but we want to have fun with it as well. Like, you know, and we like that like mash up of the two, exactly. And I think it's a tough like line to walk because you don't want to be like too
serious.
You don't want to be too preachy, but also you don't want to be too like silly. So, which I think can be a problem.
It is with ska bands, isn't it?
Yeah,
definitely.
But, yeah, I like to think we tread that line, and
I think just jump around and shout all over.
That's it, jump over the line, and yeah.
So, and what are some of the most important topics on the new album?
Oh Christ! Right. So if we go through in order. So Kill 'Em Dead's basically like a bibliography. So that's like lists of books and albums. Then False Prophet. What's next? Is it False Prophets next?
Yes.
Yeah, False Prophets. That was about sort of questioning authority and using the allegory of religion. And then Nosedive is about working and not getting paid and trying to be a band around that as well. Mutually Assured Confusion was about the Situationists and Society the Spectacle, particularly like Guide the Born. Hoods Up, Heads Down was about a time we squatted a community centre that turned out to be owned by the British royal family, which didn't end very well, obviously.
Although we outlasted the Queen.
So. Not Coming Back's about a sort of a sarcastic song about climate change, being that we're probably all going to die and there's nothing getting done for it.
It's the happiest song we have ever written. It is like the most kind of poppy, like fun song with the most depressing lyrics we've ever written. It's my favourite.
And then War to the Palaces is about the housing crisis. What else is there? Scream Into the Void is just about being angry. Shell Shock is about war, and particularly like PTSD war that my dad went through. And then the end of history is essentially 3 songs mashed together, but it's about 2008 financial crisis, but then the knock-on effects of that, and then so that came from Francis Fukuyama's book The End of History, which was the neoliberal capitalism was the end of the road. That was the peak of human, you know, civilization, and everything was going to meld to that. And then obviously 2008 happened, and then it all gone to shit, and then everything's gone worse since then. So that's why it's the end of history. And I think that's all at the minute. Yeah.
And on the new album, which is actually something I think we're really proud of, like we've got like a reading list as well, because you know, we want to cite our sources. Like Dani writes amazing like lyrics and stuff, and pours a lot of time and effort into it. And again, I think having like Kill 'Em Dead being a list of a lot of our influences, and then having that thing of like, you know, this is the fun bit, but if you want to look into it more, here are some kind of suggestions. Like, again, I think it's something that I'm really proud of, that this band has got that element to it as well. It's not just the jumping around and shouting, although that is the best bit.
That's something I like as well, because I'm a very political person too, and sure, you can sometimes have party songs, you can have songs about love, but I think music can change something, and if it's only the mind of a few of people. So
when you think about it, it's changed all our lives from what we've listened to.
Yeah.
So maybe this is interesting. Which bands inspired you in your thinking, in your meaning?
Musically, do you mean musically or sort of politically or both?
Both maybe.
Well, that's sort of what Kill 'Em Dead, the song, is the first verse is all books, and then the second verse is all albums. But like musically, for me personally, was like two-tone ska was a pretty obvious one, and then obviously punk bands. So like earlier punk bands for me, which were mostly political ones, so the Clash, sort of Dead Kennedys, that kind of stuff, and then I like really love dub and reggae music. So that was sort of the main musical influences. We're heavier than that. Not metal, but just sort of mainly because I just really like playing fast and loud. So just take that and then speed it up and shout over the top of it. Yeah, I don't know why.
Yeah, I think I came from more the kind of ska, like the American sort of ska thing. So I was a huge fan of, like, still am, like a huge fan of like Streetlight Manifesto, Mike Boss Stones. Like I love bands with like big horn sections that kind of like are powerful together, but also like have interweaving and like melodies that bounce off each other, which again I think is something that we have sort of captured in the latest release, like more so than anything else we've ever done.
First time we've had 4-piece.
That's it. Well, and again, it's this trumpet, trombone, alto, and then Barry sax, which
and
is
tenor
just,
as well, isn't it?
And then little Dan play tenor on the album. So it's just like a wall of sound, which I'm a massive fan of. And then kind of first got into that side of things, and then discovered like the punk side of things. Basically, like Cap Down was a huge band for me. Just getting into, I don't know, that realisation of like, oh, the music can actually mean something as well as being really fun. Like, that's a really nice thing to kind of discover when you're getting into it.
Oh yeah, slightly different influences. I listen to a lot of jazz and hip hop and that kind of thing, and punk. Not so much ska punk really, but I listen to a lot of punk. Come at it from a slightly different angle.
Dave's mainly Vivaldi, isn't it?
Yeah, mainly the classical note. Okay, yeah. So I mean, I'm slightly different. I'm just influenced by so much different music, but I wasn't really into ska punk until I joined this band, but massively enjoying it now.
We dragged you down to our level, didn't you?
It's the most fun thing to play. It's so fun.
It's the most fun band to be in.
Yeah.
It's the jumping and shouting. It's the jumping and shouting.
And I'm like Dani, I come from like a punk background, so I listen to Bad Religion, Pennywise, NoFX, and then this is the first ska band I ever joined because I was more of a hardcore punk fan rather than ska punk at the time, and I'm just having a blast. It's the best time.
Again, I think that's one of the cool things where it's like the mashup of everything. Like Dani says, we kind of have that ska stuff, but we've got the harder bit, and I think actually Mark coming from a more like hardcore and a more like straight punk thing has like really added to that and ensured that we've got those kind of heavier beats and the breakdowns and the jumpy bits as well as the shouty bits. So.
That's that thing. NoFX are going to stop. Good.
Yeah, this year. Yeah. What is it? 40 years? 50?
40 years?
40-ish
maybe.
Yeah, we'll be 40. Yeah.
Some tour and then.
Madness, isn't it? 40 years.
Sure. But if you talk about music and politics, we have to talk about Brexit. We talked about it when we drove here, and it's always the same. British bands really have problems now coming out of Europe. So maybe you can talk a little bit from your side.
So it's all right. It's not been so bad for us because we're sort of a bit more established. But anyone starting out now will have a lot more problems than we had. And to be honest, the weirdest bit at the minute is I don't feel like even now the border guards on both sides don't really know what the rules are with us, like with bands, because I don't think anyone really knows what the rules are still now, and so it's been an absolute clusterfuck. So when Brexit happened, they didn't expect to win, and so because of that there was no plan of what to happen, and so the day after the vote went through, Cameron quit as Prime Minister, and then we just had 4 days of no one being in charge and no one knew what to do because there was no plan of how to do that, and that's why it took 4 years to actually go through. And even now there's no answers to Ireland, there's no answers to trade, there's no answers to movement, there's just no answers to anything because there was no plan. There was just they've basically spent 40 years demonising the EU, and there's a lot to criticise with the EU. It's not, it's not all good, but the British press and the British government spent 40 years demonising the EU, and then they rolled the dice that if they put it to a vote that people would vote to stay in, which is what I think they wanted to happen, and then it didn't, and it was a very strange situation. And as well as that, you had Boris Johnson, who was the main figurehead of Brexit, who has always been massively into Europe, loved Europe, and big Francophile, and loved Europe. He had to protect, because he wanted to lead the Conservative Party, he had to pretend to want to leave Europe, even though he didn't. And then on the other side, you had Jeremy Corbyn, who's been a lifelong socialist, who didn't like the EU project, and he had to pretend to love the EU. And so you had the two leaders of both sides both fighting for things they didn't believe in against each other.
And everyone knew it.
And everyone knew it wasn't hidden. They'd had like 30 odd years of publicly making these statements, and then they had to both go, I love the EU and I hate the EU, and then they both had to argue things they didn't believe. It was a very strange time, and to be honest, we haven't really got out of it now. It's still ongoing. But we also have a massive labour shortage, and everything costs a fuckload more. So yeah, it's not been great.
I think things are getting worse everywhere, but Britain has many problems with things getting more expensive and stuff.
So we've got that
be available.
We've got that worst position of sort of somewhere between the EU and America, where we've got a lot of deregulation, and that's what they're sort of more pushing for. But we're also a lot of the country is very poor, so they can't just cut everything because a lot of it. Basically, London runs the UK. All the money is in London, and London funds everything in the UK. And that's a bad idea anyway in and of itself, but it's there's a lot of problems with it. There's a lot of problems with being an island and cutting off your trade barriers to your biggest trading partner and trying to do it with Australia, which is the other side of the world. I mean, just in physical distance alone. And then it's not great. And then obviously Joe Biden got into president, who's got massive links to Ireland, so that's a whole nother like kettle of fish. That if we didn't have to live there, it'd be fucking hilarious. It's a very, very funny situation, but we have to live with it, and everything costs a fucking fortune now.
The one upside is having that. Well, we told you this would happen. We were right. I mean, we're all fucked, but we were right.
It's not a win though, is it?
We still It's we keep getting food shortages, and we have no one to do any of the jobs. So that's fun.
I think good thing is in Britain you have a good sense of humor. You have, you know, in British humor, so many comedy stuff.
You don't laugh, you cry.
So let's come to something serious.
Okay.
You're on tour now. What have been the coolest moments of the tour now?
This one in Europe. Last night was really good, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Here in Berlin, so that was pretty much sold out. It was a Tuesday night as well. Very, very sweaty, but really good fun. But all the gigs have been good so far.
It's been.
Been to we've done 3 dates in Holland and then crossed over into Germany. This is our third one in Germany. But and then we just got back from America a few weeks back, which was a run with the Slackers, which was really, really cool. We were a bit out of it. Like we were over in America. Flew back, went straight back to work, and then about a few weeks later just come back out on tour for another 2 weeks.
Normally it's like you have like work and then 2 weeks of tour or something like that, and then back to work, whereas here it was tour and then back to work for like 2 weeks and then back on tour.
So we had 2 gigs in the UK in between.
Oh yeah, and we had some gigs in the UK as well.
We're not really recovered.
So but you're a big band, so how do you organize it that everyone can work and be in the band? And
we all have relatively flexible jobs. So you work it with
I work for an arts charity, and I'm lucky I can.
Then I work for the NHS, so that's relatively flexible.
Yeah, I'm
same with
the
Bob's.
same.
Dave's
I'm self-employed musician. So.
And Mark, you can sort of holiday.
Yeah, I just get a good holiday.
It does take a lot of most of our time because there's 7 of us as well. So it's but we're pretty on it with it.
I think because we're all so. I don't know, just in at this point, we've dedicated too much time. It's the sunk cost fallacy thing where we've got this far, we're not giving up now. So just refusing to quit. Us and
I think
the
it's stubbornness more. There's not really anything else better to do. I've not really found anything else that's as fun as playing in the band. So
that's been
probably just that's helped.
But no, come the bombs, it's going to be cockroaches and faintest idea.
It was good as well. Our American label, he works for a brewery in Germany as well, and he flew out to see us on Monday. So he came to Germany early, so he surprised us, which was quite nice because we hadn't seen him since we were in the States. So it's been good. Tour highlights. I don't know. We thought our van was going to break down. That's been a whole thing, and it hasn't. So that's sort of that's a highlight for me.
We're less than halfway through the tour. Right?
Yeah.
And I think show will start soon. Your support maybe at
Bullsinger.
Really looking forward to seeing them.
So you got to know them?
Yeah, we played with them last year in Lübeck, and then they're on tonight and tomorrow as well.
Yeah.
So it's see them.
And are cool guys, I think.
Yeah,
definitely.
So that'd be good.
And how will you now prepare for the show? Do you have any rituals or something like sports, sleeping?
Yeah, we do have one ritual. We all shout at each other before we start. I can't. Yeah, there's no other way to describe it. Scream in each other's faces. That's it. Really.
Getting the energy on, I think.
Yeah, we'll call that.
Yeah.
It's cathartic.
It's a vocal warm up.
At least we don't get annoyed with each other for the other 23
You save it up, you store it up, scream it in 10 seconds, and then done.
8 hours in the van, just building up.
So cool, great. I think that was a cool interview.
Yeah,
It was fun
thank
to
you
have
very much.
so much people. I think in total you are 7?
7, yeah.
7, yeah.
But
So
6
drummer?
on this tour.
Ah, okay.
Yeah, our other sax player has work, so he couldn't come. But 6.
It was almost the whole band, and the drummer was in for a few seconds. So cool. Do we have some final last words? Something famous last words you want to say?
Please buy our album.
Yeah,
we would like to retire soon. So if you could buy our album, that'd be lovely.
Got a rise on a lake house in the...
Anyone watching this is a billionaire.
So
we'll sell out.
how many albums do you have to sell for this?
We've got 3 albums with us. But if everyone just buys all of them, then we'll see where we go from there.
So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, man.
Cheers.
Thanks,
And cheers and bye, people.
Bye.
Bye.